Off top, who is the tallest player ever drafted into the NFL? Play the music.
This is the Domonique Foxworth Show.
Welcome to the Domonique Foxworth Show. So Charlie and I before the show. I'm joined by Jeff Saturday, which back-to-back weeks on Wednesday. I'm going to trick him into doing this every Wednesday because so much fun.
Top Jeff, right?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I forgot. Top Jeff. Got to say Top Jeff.
Thank you. Make sure that we get that out there. Darlington
is not the Top Jeff. Neither is Jeff Green, which inexplicably is the other Jeff on the graphic of Top Jeff.
That's Uncle Jeff.
Why did we put – is it just shots at Georgetown? It's just shots at our Georgetown producer? All right.
That's exactly right.
The off top came because Charlie and I, before the show, were talking about your boy Caden Proctor, the tackle.
Yeah.
And we looked up. Charlie went to the same high school as Jonathan Ogden.
Oh.
And they were both O-linemen. So that tells you a little something about how Charlie is. So anyway, we were talking about how Proctor is huge in Ogden size, and he's not. Jonathan Ogden was even bigger.
Yeah. Wasn't Ogden 6'9"? Yes. I was going to say, he was 6'9". Yeah.
And then I was like, what did his parents do? Of course they had it, but no. I assume they were tall, but they were athletes. According to Charlie's research, his dad was an investment banker. Oh. You just walk around 6'10".
That man is a tall human being.
Anyway, the answer to the question is kind of a cheat because he never actually played in the game. It's a guy named Richard Sly, who unsurprisingly was drafted by the Raiders because at least back in those days, or I guess all the way up until when I was drafted, the Raiders just drafted the biggest, fastest guy.
Absolutely. Athlete you.
Yeah. But he was 7 feet tall.
7 feet?
Yeah, 7 feet tall, but never actually played a snap.
Well,
he was a 7-foot D tackle.
No chance.
Yeah,
I am under you every snap. You were going to get dumped. I'm dumping you on your head. I don't care. Yeah.
He could at least block the field goal or something.
I was about to say, this is my dream. Field goal blocking specialist.
You stay in the middle. Stand. You know most 7-footers can't jump too.
Yeah, they
they get it's like me. It's like, piece of paper up under my feet when I get out there. Yeah, come on.
Like Wemby's the only one. The athlete.
It's changed now. Yeah. When we were coming up, 7-footers now are freaking point guards. It's like it blows me away. I'm like way too athletic.
I know you gamble, so I don't really gamble, but I think we put something on Wemby for MVP.
Oh, for sure. Let's put a little scratch on there.
Oh, did the camera move?
The camera hates you, Dominique. It just tracks Jeff.
Oh, racist camera.
Racist
camera. I take it back.
I'm going to put the algorithm in.
Technical director Fox, not the best.
Hey, cut to this part right here. Charlie, you should go right to here, Fox. Turn that off right there. You got that. I help him out.
There's nothing.
Hey, I just showed him what was up in this area right here. Click that button.
There's anything more unbelievable than Jeff teaching somebody about tech. I remember when Jeff was explaining to me Instagram. That was 2 years ago. He was like, "Hey, what you know about this here Instagram?"
I call it the gram.
Yeah, the gram. My bad. The gram. Oh man, we got some football topics to talk about. But before we get to the interesting stuff, I think we should start by making fun of Charlie because he's a Commanders fan, and and they got their beat.
Whooped again.
I was actually in Chicago this past weekend for the Chicago Marathon. I was not running it.
So Charlie, don't skip over that. Charlie's fiance is a marathoner. I think this is her 4th marathon, and Charlie goes to the marathons and supports her. Yeah, holds water. But not,
of course.
He's a water holder.
Not only does he hold water, he walks around and pretends like he's gonna run the marathon. He tells people, they're like, because anybody in town, and he got on like athletic clothes. They're like, "You here for the marathon?" Yes, I'm running. All right. And then he limps around the day after and pretends as if at the airport, walking around stealing valor.
Hey, he goes to the restaurants right after. He's like, that one got me.
I need a beer.
That was a tough one. That was a tough one out there.
Do you make up a time too, or no?
Oh no. So Jeff, 5 people before the marathon were like, "Are you running it?" And I was like, Yeah, I don't know if my prep was good enough. I don't know if I was totally compliant, if I got enough mileage, enough volume in. And then it started annoying Carrie because she was like, "You don't look like you can run a marathon." I was like, I kind of think I do. People seem to think I do. And then so after the marathon, I was like, what would a person like me look like after they run a marathon? And I was walking like you guys did on your worst Monday after an NFL game. I was just a little bit of this, and people were like, how'd you feel? I was like, got through it. Never said that I ran it. Would just be they were like, how was the race? Got through it.
Got through it. Your girl is pissed. Your girl is not a happy camper with you, dog.
You ran the 10 miler, right?
I ran the half. No, I did 12.
Half.
Yeah, I did half. I did half. Yeah. So what is it? 13? What is it? 13-1? I think is what I did. 13-1.
From one center to another, you can run it.
Yep.
Charlie was a high school center.
You played with Ogden. I played briefly with Ogden. I mean, it's like our career paths are just they're locked in, bro.
So there's like a famous picture of Ogden when he was at my high school. Obviously, just towering over people. Yeah. And then when people were like, "You were there," like 10 years later, or I guess 20 years later, however much time, I was like, "Yeah, we weren't as good." Trust me, we I didn't look like that.
When I went to the Ravens,
this is Jonathan Ogden.
Oh my word! It looks like the
Look
blind
at these kids,
dog.
Look at these kids.
They're just running for their life,
and so it's like a private school league, and so I just imagine that it's just a bunch of parents like, nah, not this game.
Oh yeah, get him out, get him out.
You got things to live for, Johnny.
Yeah. You don't want that guy. I did when I played for the Ravens briefly. It was like he was on one side, Zeus Orlando Brown was on the other side. This dude named Jeff Blackshear. There was another guard. They were huge.
This sounds like last year's Eagles.
Beings,
it's like a tiny little man at center, and then monsters.
And Wally Williams was their center. He a little sawed off guy like me, but he was their franchise guy. But them dudes were. They were monsters, just huge humans. Yeah, so, Charlie, I felt your pain, buddy. I felt your pain. I felt like you once did.
It's it was nice because the other people I was blocking were also very unathletic and not big, which is great. It's always fair fight.
The opponent always helps out. Good for you.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much. I think we talked about the Commanders a bunch today and how I think you and I both agreed that it was a game they should have lost, but man, you got Jayden Daniels. That has to feel good. I just got to finish recording Meanest podcast, and we came up with a question on there that I would want to run by you because I think I came up with the answer, for me at least, because we were talking about the situation in Tennessee, which I think we're going to talk more about in a little bit, how they fired their coach and Cam Ward is still there. If you are a fan of a team, would you rather your team have the quarterback already that you essentially like Drake May last season? Right. Like we got the quarterback, but we don't know about coach, GM, front office, all that stuff.
Right.
Or would you rather have a stable organization and not have found the and be looking for the quarterback? And I think the analogy I said for that was kind of like the Steelers, because it feels like they've been a quarterback away for a long time.
Forever.
And they are certain about, like, it feels pretty sure. Maybe they'll make a decision to move on, but it feels pretty sure that they got the right guy coach and they got the right front office. But I don't know. I made the argument that I'd rather have the higher floor of having a stable organization and just hope that sooner or later we get our Lamar Jackson, because that would be the Ravens had a stable organization who found a perfect quarterback, rather than be out here with a really good quarterback and hoping we find the right coach.
Yeah, I agree. I think organizationally, having it put together, I will tell you, I watched, and just for the brief time that I was in Indy, helping and coach and do that kind of thing, the stability of the organization matters. Like watching what Bill Polian was able to do when we were there, and how you added pieces and parts that ultimately developed into what was a record-setting organization for years, right? That I think you do it that way. It's to me, the quarterback, even though that's the most important position, I think it's easier to find one who maybe isn't Hall of Fame, but still good enough to. I mean, because you think like even with the Ravens, they won one with Dilfer, right?
Yeah,
they win one with Flacco, right? Like and they're on pace to at some point hopefully get one with Lamar. So they found ways to reinvent themselves as opposed to teams who have this guy but can't ever get the pieces and parts around him.
We were
Camera's racist again. Sorry, Dominique.
I turned it off.
No, I told you it's the button down.
Oh, it's back on again.
Yeah, you turned it. I told you.
Can I play devil's advocate for the other side of it? Of
Sure.
wanting the quarterback first, which is, and this will get us to a Cam Ward conversation later, but we should table it for now. But like, I guess it's a question of what's harder to find,
right?
The coach and the GM or the quarterback, because like I think about. I just mean like any coach in the league would want to coach Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson, and while they like Andy Reid and Andy Reid and McDermott's a pretty good coach, but Andy Reid, John Harbaugh, those are really stable guys. Like I mean, anyone would take that job. They could get the Kyle Shanahans, the Ben Johnsons, the Sean McVays. They would all jump ship to coach one of those quarterbacks, and then your organization's stable.
Yeah, well, go ahead, Jeff.
No, I disagree.
Yeah.
I disagree. I think, like when you looked at Josh Allen, he didn't come out being that if they don't have a stable organization, that dude's career doesn't do what it's doing, right? I mean, so I think when you're talking about it, you're assuming stability helps get them there long before you move on from a guy or make a move or do something else. And so I think having the stability of the franchise is what gives you the true ability to develop that quarterback. And I was trying to think about this morning. The only quarterback I can tell you that I thought like literally elevated a team is Jayden Daniels.
Yeah.
I mean, even Roethlisberger, when he came in, the Steelers were freaking good, bro. Burrow.
Yeah,
that's another, those two. Yeah, Burrow is that's another great one. But you look around like it's hard to elevate a team like that. Like you got to be a dude. It just doesn't happen very often. I think the organization being stable gives you a puncher's chance to find a quarterback that ends up or developing into a absolute beast that might not be, with all the intangibles of what we're talking about.
Right. And that was the point that I think I was trying to make also. And like we talked about this before, and this show is like, I think that all the great quarterbacks in the NFL right now, Dak Prescott is probably the best example of it. Like they came into good situations and then those situations gave them the cover that they needed.
That's right.
And the time to develop into something else. Of course, there's occasionally a guy that just comes in and it's just different.
Right.
And there's not enough to bank on that. And I think where I started was where I think the argument that Charlie was kind of making, and he's saying he's playing devil's advocate because he doesn't want us to tell him that he's wrong, so we can blame it on the devil.
Well, I just think absolutes are for idiots and children, like you said. Like there's
stealing my lines.
Well, no, it's just like
Foxworth lines.
Because like if you look at the Ravens thing, they drafted Hayden Hurst before Lamar. No stable organization, if they knew what Lamar was going to be, was going to do that.
They didn't know what Lamar was going to be, obviously.
No.
Yeah.
I got another line for you that I gave to my cousin, and he uses it all the time now at work, is that the only shortcut is hard work. It's a good line. That's a good one right there. That's a good one. That's a good one. The only shortcut is hard work, because if you try anything else, it's going to take you longer.
Much longer.
Oh, yeah. I'm turning into a good old man.
I
love that.
Get off my lawn.
The point, so Charlie, I think when I first posed this question to Mina, where I started mentally was where you are. It's like, what is harder to find? I think finding the right quarterback is definitely, I start thinking that is harder to find. But actually, the conversation we're talking about is not finding the right coach or finding the right GM. It's finding them both and having their timelines and their mindset aligned. Exactly. And so like that actually might be harder to find, because when you think about that, I think the 49ers are a great example. I think what proves that is having success over a long period of time multiple different ways. Yeah. And even though Andy Reid did it in Philadelphia and he's doing it in Kansas City, even over this Kansas City stretch, despite having the same quarterback, they've done it in multiple different ways. That's right. And I think that's a representation of a coach, general manager, assistant coaches. Yeah. And like Spagnuolo, like those guys are finding different ways to win. And that's what you can do with an organization that is like stable and run effectively and efficiently in the course of a game, making adjustments and decisions. Like we see all that stuff, and those things, you can't put up a highlight of that, so it's
Right.
less attractive. But I actually think that's probably harder to find. And if you do find that, your quarterback that's a 5 is actually going to be a 6.
Right.
Your 6 is actually going to be a 7. If you find somebody that's up there that's 8 or 9, you're going to turn him into a 10. Because I don't think Lamar turns into what he is anywhere else. I don't think Josh Allen turns into what, and I think Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
He's great, but we'd have a whole different experience of Patrick Mahomes if he landed in a trash organization.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. It doesn't matter. Yeah, you can't overcome a bad organization. I don't care how good.
Not in this sport.
No. It's just there's too many variables that you have to overcome.
That said, Cam Ward,
except for my guy Jayden Daniels.
Well, we're not sure that your organization is bad anymore.
No,
you guys were. You were bad before, then you not fired. Then you forced Snyder out. Yeah, and they started to make, it seems like, better decisions. And you brought in a 49ers disciple, right, to be your general manager.
And also got found Kingsbury being like in a totally right role where they're scheming that running game in a really, really good way. And look, we're coming off of the Monday Night Football game where Jayden obviously had 2 catastrophic turnovers that sort of lost them the game and spotted the 3 turnovers were spotted the Bears 13 points. But this might not be the year for the Commanders because the defense is so bad. And I'm going to take it on the chin because their schedule does not get easier, and it might not be the year that I was hoping for, where I said that they weren't going to regress. But you still leave, and it's like we have a lot working in our favor, and that's number 5.
Yeah, a lot working in favor. That's one really important position. But I do think that Peters at general manager, along with Dan Quinn, and to your point, Cliff Kingsbury, you guys seem to have some structure and some organizational stability and direction. And the decisions you're making.
They also did a great job. And now I think part of what's going to end up happening, Charlie, for this year is you're going to see that defense age before you, right? It's like those guys played fantastic. He brought a lot of aging guys in on that side of the ball. He brought a lot of veteran voices in the locker room, right? And now he's trying to teach the young guys, here's how we practice. Here's how we go. Here's what we go after as a team. I thought that was vital for their production last year. So part of the issue is going to be they're just getting older, and they played late into the season last year, right? So your recovery time is different. Finding the rhythm this year. That's why I think you're seeing them go up and down, right? And it's I don't know that they can sustain it for a whole nother year, and so maybe they got to put pieces and parts and start to make things happen. But it was the right way to get the organization moving for this first couple years under Dan Quinn.
I still want to stay on the Commanders. It wasn't really our plan to talk a bunch of Commanders. I'd still want to get to Cam Ward because he's in what looks like maybe the most dysfunctional organization in football, and he seems like he has the talent to be great. Had he been dropped in a different situation?
Yes.
And his career may be derailed by that. But before we get to that, I wonder what you're saying about the defense getting old, and this is the reason why the Bills are relevant to me is I remember thinking that the Bills were taking a step back when they started making some of their roster decisions. And then before you knew it, when they got moved on from Steph Diggs, their safeties had to move on. And I was like, all right, well, it's time to reload. And they were still competitive. I wonder from the Commanders' perspective, given where they are right now, it seemed like this offseason, they were like, all right, we're going all in.
Yeah.
But is that the right move? If you got Jayden Daniels, is it not the right move to aim for the end of his window,
right,
and try to stockpile and go then? Because if you keep holding on to these pieces, you don't develop the transition and you put yourself in a situation. So I don't know what the right answer is, honestly.
Yeah, I think
I guess you're the perfect person to talk to because you guys had a long window and where you remade it a couple times.
100%. And I think what you do is you probably have 10 to 12 guys that are your core guys, right? And that's who you're going to ride with, and they're going to be they're there for the long term. And you begin to see, when I first got to Indy, there were some offensive linemen who were there that they ended up moving on from. There was some tight ends there that they ended up, drafting guys and replacing guys. And then on the backside, and we were different because when Dungy came in, he wanted to run Tampa too, so the corners didn't have to be. Right. So the money went more to different positions, right? To that safety, which was Bob Sanders, and a rush in with Freeney and a Will linebacker. So there was these different things, but we kept together and we had a nice blend of, kind of aging guys and youth that you would get, and you kind of knew the positions that could be young, right? Mm-hmm. Like Sam for us on defense could be a young dude, man. Right. Just turn it back, like freaking step up, take it on, turn it back in. Right. Like everybody kind of had a role.
That's interesting. Yeah. So like I as I think about that, I'm trying to think of like who is the core in Washington, and you want a core that's like, because you guys were kind of all grew together, and I like it's like you, Peyton, and Marvin, and then Reggie Wayne, and then Edge, and then you kind of rolled out. But I don't know who it is, and I guess Charlie's the person to go back to. Is like, who is their core? You guys have a core or not really yet? Because obviously it's Jayden. You're hoping that it's Bill. You love Bill. On defense, it's like Wagner, but like he's not going to be around for a while. Luvu.
So big thing has been just the injuries this year. Like Cosme's not back yet. Terry McLaurin's out. Yeah. And the offense is totally different without McLaurin. Like that's a huge part of it. But if you're talking about the young core, I mean, you're hoping Connerly can turn into a legitimate tackle. You're hoping Cosme comes back from injury and he's still in his 20s. And
he's a baller, by the way. When he's healthy, he's a baller.
He's an awesome. He was the best lineman on the team last year, and you're hoping that he can return to form because they've given him a lot of time coming off the ACL window, and he's in his IR return window coming off the ACL, and then you have Bill, and Bill's been a revelation as a running back. Obviously, he performed so well in camp that they traded Brian Robinson, and he's got a tiny bit of the fumbleitis the last 2 weeks. But I think that those are both like I don't put either one of those like really on Bill. Both of them were ones where he just got rocked cutting back.
So it makes me think about the Dolphins a little bit because of the comments that Tua had, and you and I on set were talking about like player leadership. And that's something else that you have to be aware of where you're like building that core. And I told you about how I rode up on the train next to Ray Lewis, and we talked about this is a decided, it's like a thing that you have to pass down, and you have to find the right players, and you have to pass it to someone else. And the players, because the team is so big, you need guys in just about every meeting room.
Absolutely.
They're going to uphold this particular standard. And we see in Miami with the comments that Tua is making, and honestly, frankly, how their offseason went. Yeah. It just felt like there was no player veteran leadership, and you can't – I get into this fight with some of the producers when we're prepping for the show. It's not really a fight, but like everyone has ideas for how you should do this, how you do that. And you have actually been a head coach and been one of these leaders on a championship team. It's hard to make these decisions without taking into account how it's going to affect the like emotions of your locker room. And so I guess one thing is like the Dolphins. I think that they're kind of screwed because of that. And then like, who is that person? Who are those people? I guess Jeffrey Simmons down in Titans. Who are the people that are upholding that? Because right now it seems like Cam Ward, and he's saying it's a hard place to be.
Hold on, you should get into that because if we want to jump to Cam Ward, we can come back to the Bills.
We don't have to jump. Oh, you got organized, free flowing conversation, Water man.
But no, shout out Water boys, great charity. But in the Cam Ward piece written by Michael Silver.
Yeah,
the Jeffrey Simmons stuff is a huge part of that because he is the person upholding that. J.C. Latham, when he came back from injury, Jeffrey Simmons had to stop practice and be like, those last 10 reps, they aren't good enough. That's not how a professional team does that. You were a top 10 pick. We had him getting into
Saturday
it.
Would do. Speaking of Jets.
Yeah, but we had him getting into it with Cam Ward, and like they're fishing buddies. Like they're like they have a really good relationship.
They had an off-season scuffle.
Yeah, and they and they go fishing together and stuff. And you had people within the organization telling Cam Ward that maybe you shouldn't tell the media that we're. So Cam Ward is holding up a standard, but he's also like learning the NFL stuff of that. So I mean, I think that this is a really interesting place to go on and getting into all the Cam stuff.
Yeah, I think the reality of all of it is it's mindful leadership, and being thoughtful of your tone, tact, and timing, right? On all things, right? Like, what is my tone in this? Am I being tactful? And then when is the right time? I think for Tua, he missed it on the timing, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, you do that behind, like, I don't need to take that to reporters, right? Like none of these guys. And I think what ends up happening, especially I think for like franchise quarterbacks at times, is they become friendly with these guys, right? So they like chop it up in rooms, like some stuff's going to be on the record.
Oh, you mean the media?
The media, yeah. And then they kind of forget, right? Like when you talk and they got to go write it, that's their job to go write it, right? And so now you've ostracized yourself from your teammates and you've made it feel like you're pointing the finger when you're not playing well, right? Like you got to be the dude. If you're the dude doing everything right, then you'll be the first. But most guys, and I think, and this is how I fought Mike McDaniel as well. Like he doesn't need to combat this in the media. Like that's when you go back and say, hey, I've already talked it over with Tua. We're good. We've addressed the team.
Yeah, because Mike kind of came out and threw Tua under the bus,
100%.
which is like, and
like,
Tua's throwing other people under the bus.
You're like, it's just and so what do you think the guys at the bottom, they're going to throw the bus? They're going to take that thing and pass it off to somebody else. No one's going to take accountability. I think when you're a leader and you do have a core of guys, is you teach guys how to lead. And to your, the whole Cam Ward, like we're not the time, right? Like, man, you ain't help. Like, we can all see our record, bro. We can all see what we're doing.
Like, and I think, like, I get what he's doing there is, like, it's accountability. And, like, we're not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to come here and tell you, like, if this, then that. So, like, I think that's a players only meeting.
Right.
How do we not get the media is like, hey, we obviously aren't playing to the best of our ability. I'm not going to make any excuses. We all going to work hard. It is like the boring quarterback speak stuff, but the reason why those things become like cliches that we use is because they're kind of useful and helpful. And I was just thinking that it's hard for a young player or a rookie to do that unless you're Cam Scatterboo.
Right.
I feel like he showed up and like
lit it on fire, bro.
Like
the whole place.
Him and Jackson Dart, at least for a couple of weeks, because even before they started playing well, the clips of Cam Scatterboo from the offseason, the way that he talks to his teammates, and the way that he is like physical with veterans, like I could not imagine.
Oh, he loves it.
The best rookie could never. It's just like it's about authenticity and being real. He just walk in there. I'm a meathead.
Yes.
I'm not gonna pretend.
And I embrace it. I want to put my head through stone, and I'm good with it. Let's go do it as many times as we can.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
And that's a version of authentic leadership that works for them. But the Titans.
And do you want to get into some of this article that was written by Silver about all the dysfunction, the organization, how the ownership has been far more involved in making this a difficult situation? I mean, it went through, this is not a well-run team. And it begs the question of, what I think is most interesting is you have this precious asset. You have this guy, Cam Ward, who, if you listen to Orlovsky, who's broken down the tape, or other tape bros, they're like, they're just like, he's flashing. He's showing franchise quarterback stuff. And if it's enough that you shouldn't just buy into the advanced stats, which are really rough on Cam Ward, partially because of the situation, then it begs the question, for the rest of this year, how do you handle it? Because there's the paths of like, okay, we sit him down, we make sure that he knows this is not a vote of no confidence. We still think you're your franchise guy, but we need to protect you. That has deleterious effects on the rest of the roster of like, what are you saying to the other guys if you're putting Cam Ward above them? And then like, what do you guys think? If you guys have been on teams like this, how do you handle this situation with this guy? Because it's like, this is your future. This is your shot.
That's one of the type of things that you guys as producers and like fans propose this as an idea that like in practice or in theory, it sounds right. But in practice, we're at week 6.
Yeah.
We got 11 more weeks to go. You cannot send, I don't know how, I'm trying to think of a way to make it work that you have to send the message that you are doing what's best for the team. It's like, look, Cam is hurting us and we need him to get better. And the best way to do it is to sit him down. And this is what's best for everyone else. If for whatever reason, it was like last year, how Gerard Mayo said that Jacoby Brissett is just going out there to protect
Meat puppet.
Right.
Yeah, to protect. Like that's sending a terrible message to anybody in your organization. Is that these games don't matter and your career doesn't matter.
That's right.
So I don't know how you pull it off. The problem is if you had like a solid veteran backup like Tyrod Taylor or somebody like that, then you could credibly say, look, he's going to keep things stable and this is going to be what's best for all of us. And we're going to take a step back for Cameron Ward. But they don't have that right now. I don't know how you pull this move off.
Yeah, no, I think you can't put the genie back in the bottle, bro. You put him on the field, it's time. He's like, we already got 6 games in. We got to get better, and we got to figure out how to. And I think from McCoy's perspective, or whoever else are going to have helping run this offense, how do I protect him, and how do I get him to figure out the progression of quarterback play in the NFL, whatever that is, half the field, half the reads. Let's move to West Coast ball out, whatever it is, like whatever you find to go get him to find habits that you think he can grow on. Here is my problem with the Tennessee Titans, though. They haven't shown you when they fire a general manager, and then Vrabel has, I guess they're interviewing general managers. Vrabel has a guy
that he wants,
but
they won't hire him.
They don't hire him. So then they hire Rand at Carthon, and so Rand comes in. They don't work out together, so he fires Vrabel. Then they fire him, bring in a new, and so like
new GM,
who
then fires
him. So you're like the whole. The whole, and before that, they make him give up play calling duties, and then his next guy, they take the play calling. So like this thing has gotten spinning out of control. You have to limit the noise, similar to what I said about Caleb Williams last year. Like find the things that he can do well, realize that results aren't going to be, and then help him, right? Like help him along. I think there's no way to put the genie back in the bottle. You can't say one guy's more important than the other guys, because let me tell you something. He ain't. Like it sounds crazy. I know everybody thinks he's not. Like he has to learn how to play as well, and he's not learning to play standing over on the sideline after you've already done this to him.
There's been like a bunch of schools of thought on this. Obviously, Andy Reid believes in sitting quarterbacks. And this is one of your points, Dominique, is that he finds quarterbacks before he needs them also, which is like allows you that grace.
Right.
And then Callahan has gone the other way. He's like, you have to learn on the field, and it's important to get these reps. What I think is really interesting about it is I do think like you guys have talked about situation and how that you need that to succeed. And of course, we've seen guys move to different situations. Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, a guy might win the MVP. Daniel Jones and Indy, where they get to better situations, they perform better. But those are guys we also, thought were ruined by their previous situation. What are we going to think of Cam Ward if after this 70 sacks, if he stinks next year? Like, are you guys going to be on Get Up being like, the Titans have ruined Cam Ward, it's not his fault? Like, it's really hard to balance what the right thing to do is.
I said that about Daniel Jones. Like I thought he showed you, even with Dayball, like that was my whole problem with that, is they go win the playoffs. They give this guy a vote of confidence. Hey, you're going to be my guy. And then you flip on him, right? And like that was my issue with the Giants. The Mayfield thing may be a little different because they talk about his maturity or whatever it was.
Injury too.
But he is. But what he's capable of doing. But you watched. I think it's realistic when people talk about organizations. Now that doesn't mean the kid can come back. That's the other part. Is that just because even though they do ruin you, I mean,
you're still ruined.
You're still ruined, right? Like Sam Darnold, they played their way out of it, but that doesn't typically happen. It's been special to watch those guys, but you can can get ruined for sure.
Yeah. And you brought up like schools of thought, and I think that one of my lines that you stole earlier applies. It's like absolutes are for children and idiots.
Right.
It's like, no, there's no absolute right way to do this. You won't be able to convince me that if Andy Reid started Patrick Mahomes as a rookie, that he would have been a bum. Like he would have been just fine.
Right.
And you won't be able to convince me that had Jamarcus Russell taking his time, that he would have turned into a superstar. Like different players in different situations call for different things. And like Russell Wilson started out there playing and it just worked out. I think the most important thing that you can do, and I kind of feel like this philosophy applies for all of football, whether it's coaching or player development or in-game or whatever, is you got to be able to take pressure off of guys.
Thank you.
And if it's take pressure off by running the ball, or take pressure off because the quarterback can run the ball, take pressure off because you got a guy like Justin Jefferson, you can just throw it over there and close your eyes and you know it's going to make up, or a great O-line, or you take pressure off in the Russell Wilson way, where it's like, this defense is incredible.
Yes.
And like, that's what you have to do. It's the point that I made a couple weeks ago about the Jaguars, where their turnovers was creating a cover. and the time for all these other guys to figure out the things that they need to figure out. If they don't figure it out, they're still going to stink. But you need somebody somewhere or some skill to be able to take the attention and all the responsibility off of a person who's trying to develop.
100%.
And we saw that with Bryce Young, who has been benched, and it wasn't like it wasn't a plan to bring him back. I mean, I don't think they were planning to bring him back at all last year until Andy Dalton hurt his thumb, and then he looked rough again this year until Dowdle started running for 200 yards a game, where it's like
it's amazing how that works.
Yeah, it's amazing. Jeff, I got to ask you. Were you there in Peyton's third year? Because he had the rough first year when he was 13-3. Then he had the breakout second year.
Yes.
And then the third year is when he threw a lot of interceptions, right? Was there a vibe around that? Like, obviously you knew he was a franchise quarterback after the second year, but what was like? Was there a level of concern organizationally about like quarterback regression or any of that stuff?
Well, no, you feel like you're pressing, right? Like you see them happen. And like I used to make a running joke, right? I'm the leading tackler of the team right now. You know what I mean? So you're chasing it. But the reality was when you go into film, you see what he sees. You see why he's trying to do it. And I'll say this is where coaching to me matters. Like Howard Mudd, who was an incredible offensive line coach, but played as well for the 49ers, was an all-decades player, like a fan. I remember him looking at us in our room being like, hang with this dude. Hang with him. He's going to figure this out. And when we keep doing our part, he's going to figure out his part. And I think that is so true about most. If we all, and to your point about taking the pressure off, I mean, Edgerrin James we led the league, I think 3 years in a row. He won the rushing title. I mean, so we helped Peyton get along, right? Like, and people don't ever talk about those things, but the reality is there's times when you find ways like Roethlisberger at Pittsburgh. I mean, all these guys, Tom Brady with an insanely good defense, right? I mean, like all these guys came into situations where it took time for them to become who we remember them so fondly. But you're like, I know the Peyton that wasn't that dude, right? Like I remember the other guy. And so I think that to me is why the organization and like having the right guys in your building matter, because they are the ones who can tell you, no, hold it right here, man. Like hold serve here. He's going to figure this out. We're going to end up being productive.
We talked about a similar concept last week. I think it was before last week, before the Eagles went and lost on Thursday night.
Oh, yeah.
We talked about how this is the time where you need somebody who has the credibility and the leadership to settle everyone down. And that was for you, at least in the O-line room, that was Howard Mudd to be like, hey, I know you guys getting restless. Cool it. But like with that Eagles team, and it got worse on Thursday night, but it felt like everyone had ideas. And this is one of the drawbacks of having, I guess we talk about trade-offs all the time, is like I'm preaching how important it is to have like a central decision maker and a stable organization. And part of what the Eagles have done in their stability is try to keep everyone in-house and grow people up. Yeah. But you notice that last year, they had to go get somebody else. Yeah. They had to go get Kellen Moore in. And right now, the Patula, the offensive coordinator that they just grew in-house, he don't have it. I'm not in a locker room, so I can't say this to be sure. But he don't got the pelts on his wall to be able to walk into that meeting room and say, everyone out of my ear, everyone get their head out of their This is the way that it's going to work. It's going to be rough, but we're going to get there. Right now, there's nobody that can do that. The quarterback doesn't have that personality. No. And receivers normally can't pull that type of that move off. I feel like A.J. Brown is the closest to doing it. Saquon just got there too, and he don't have it.
Right.
I guess maybe Lane Johnson.
Maybe. He could potentially. Let me say this though, because I was just on Drew Brees and I were on First Take this morning with Canty, and we were talking about stability of offense, and I brought up the point that, especially with this Tennessee conversation, Tom Moore and Peyton Manning, Sean Payton, Drew Brees, Josh McDaniels, Tom Brady, right? Ben Roethlisberger. I don't know how many. I think he had two coordinators, right? But when you go to the greats and you get the same voice is in that ear. The problem with Hurts is these guys keep moving. and they keep going and taking, and the Tom Moores of the world, and Sean Payton was the head coach, but these guys stayed in these buildings and helped develop. And I can't remember who Eli's guy was, but he was a great play caller as well. But what the reason I'm saying that is you get to know each other so well, and you can finish each other's sentences, that there's a trust built. When that trust is broken, like this will be Cam's third play caller.
Right.
You're like, man, it'll take me 6 weeks to even realize what he's calling. Like it's harder than people think it is.
By the way, this has happened to the last 4 quarterbacks. I know
Exactly.
Schefter tweeted this out, who have been picked first overall.
Yeah.
It's Cam Ward, Caleb, Bryce Young, and Trevor Lawrence. And all of them have had stalled development in certain ways because of it.
And that trust matters. It doesn't matter until it does.
That's
and
right.
It does in those heated
very
moments.
Wise.
Third and 4, and it's on the line. You know you're about to get heat. Yeah. Are we blocking it up, or are we trying to make them pay?
What you just said, Domonique, was like that's going to be an AJ Brown Instagram caption at some point. Trust. It doesn't matter until it does.
I know
it's going to be
you can have fun with it all you want, Waterboy, but Jeff knows exactly what I mean. It's like you build it up and you're like, we don't need this. It's not something that we're measuring or we're talking about. We don't need this. We don't need this. And then all of a sudden it's 4th and 3 and the season's on the line. You don't know what play to call and the dude that you trust. Or you had a stretch of 3 losing games, and then you come into the meeting room and there's a young guy in there who hasn't been through nothing telling you, don't worry, we're going to be all right. It feels a lot different when there's a gray beard in there that's been around and you've already gone through this once or twice before.
I love this. So this will be this is a great story for
Oh,
that.
yeah.
So the year that the Colts that we were on that won the Super Bowl, we go to Jacksonville. And Jacksonville, I think it was Fred Taylor and who was the other back at the time? Oh,
MJ. No,
yes,
it was Maurice Jones.
Yeah. Those two, both of them have like a $150. Like both of them pulled their hamstring. They got in so many yards, right? Like we couldn't stop any. We couldn't move the ball. They light us up, and people are. They're blasting us. And I remember we go in and we were like on a slope. We weren't. And the year before we had crushed it and then lost to the Steelers in the playoffs in a kind of a missed field goal type deal. So we're in this kind of rut. And I remember we walk in and Tony, who let the coordinators coach, man. Like Tony, he would set the vision. The players took care of the culture. But Tony brings us in and he's like, man, all the problems we had were literally based on alignment. And I remember looking, I was like, this dude, I said, Tony, don't lie. Like, I think he might be on the edge of a lie. He might be like, like he's in he's working it around in the Bible somewhere. You know what I mean? I'm like, my man TD, God love him, but he's like, we were misaligned. We're playing the wrong this. And I literally watched our defense go from there to we played the best run team in Kansas City at home. They get no yards, right? We end up beating the Patriots. All these teams that Baltimore on the road against us. But we bought in because a guy who had won Super Bowls in Pittsburgh, had coached, he looked at us, I was like, no, man, don't make a mountain out of a molehill. We're going to fix this. I think having that guy in the building is so invaluable. And it's never talked about, to your point, until it's needed, and it matters.
And hold up.
Oh, it's coming. It's finding me.
It keeps coming. It keeps turning itself back on.
It's part of the show. We'll figure it out. We'll ask ChatGPT the way to permanently turn it off. I love that Tony Dungy, by the way, was like, if you had just aligned yourself a little bit more outside, Ben Roethlisberger wouldn't have tackled that defensive back on the Bettis
He had told Harper, you go outside. You never go in the middle. Yeah. You always go that Harper kind of cross the middle of the field, gets tackled. TD just looks at you and go, hey, what's the rule? Take that thing outside.
The thing about that Tony Dungy story, to me, that jumps out is how people are so story-oriented. And you're wondering if what he was saying is true or not, but I'm thinking it doesn't matter. It's that you need a story and you need a reason to come into work and you need a reason to believe. And whether it was true or not, Tony gave them a reason and it worked because he had that credibility.
Yeah.
So it helps to be able to be like, we're not getting our kicked because we suck.
Right.
You're not kicked because X.
We're not doing
We
right. We ain't doing this part right.
This is on us. If we go address this, and it only works if you have that credibility and that trust that you have built up.
Yeah.
And Charlie doesn't know anything about this because he's never
What
been
do you
in
mean?
the NFL.
That's why we're podcast bros.
But
I trust
will
you
tell
implicitly.
you, he was right. Like them boys lined
Right.
it up. Like I remember GB Gary Brackett. I remember him talking about it and be like, no, we're going to line up this way. And it totally changed the way we played. And guys, they found the details, they found their marks, and they got after people. I mean, they were unsung heroes in that playoff run and the Super Bowl win. It was special.
By the way, Jeff, seeing Tom Moore, I know he's been in the NFL forever, but seeing Tom Moore on the sideline this week with Tampa,
yeah,
football lifer. I don't really know what else to say. It's just like, what is that, 50 years coaching football in the NFL?
He is the NFL, dude. That dude he has touched all the greatest organizations ever. He needs to be in the Hall of Fame. That dude is legitimately one of the greatest coaches ever in the NFL and doesn't need any, if you even try to give him a compliment, he just grumble. He don't want no love. You be like, Tom, how you doing? I'm good. Let's get to work. I mean, that's that's
the
Tom.
Eagles need to call him, man. Get him
yeah.
Hey, that dude will be texting me. He'll give you like 3-word text. Like that. He's that guy. I love him. We play, and here's the deal. My man will go and play golf out West Coast. We'll go on a little tour of the West Coast. He goes with us. My man keeps up, dude. In fact, he'll lead the charge. Don't sleep on Tom Moore, dude. He is fueled and ready, bro. He is an absolute stud.
We're starting a campaign on Get Up tomorrow to give Tom Moore some attention.
Oh, the greatest.
Get it?
Philly for real. That'd be a
Philly?
great,
Holler at Tom.
Hey, Tampa ain't letting that dude go. Tampa knows better.
That's everything, I think. Anything else you want to talk about? That was fun.
That's great.
That was great. It's like we're not even working, just hanging out with my
just
buds.
talking, dog.
Yeah.
I love that.
All right, Charlie. Appreciate you and all the great producers, of course. Thanks to Top Jeff for doing this. Yes, everyone drink water and give money to Chris Long's charity so that more kids can have water. But I'm getting you a hat. I'm getting you a Foxworth Show hat, dude. We got to do some more charity to get you to wear our merch. Is that what the problem is?
We
should. Just make a nice hat.
Hey, Charlie. Tell him to get you the new picture that we just did for him at ESPN.
Oh yeah.
That needs to be on your hat.
I'll show you. So at the 2:00 Sports Center, they do Sly as a Fox. And they do like this old picture of me. And I made fun of the picture last week. So now they got me jacked.
Hell yeah.
And I'll send it to you. So
It's solid. It's solid.
Jeff, last thing. I'm squatting again. I'm doing Squat-tober with Bo Allen, former nose guard. I haven't been under a barbell in 15 years. I might not make it to November 1st. You might be on 3 episodes a week.
Over. Squat-tober. You could not be any whiter than you are, dog. I freaking love you doing Squat-tober, baby.
Oh, yeah.
He's a bro.
I'm ready.
I'm going to start kick sliding next time I see Domonique. I'm ready.
How much did you squat?
185.
No, that's what I thought my max was going to be. But I'm working off a 250 max now. A huge 250 max.
Nice. I like it. Yeah. Hey, be careful.
Yeah.
It don't take but a sneeze to put you out nowadays, dog. Be careful.
Dude, even without a sneeze, I'm not sure I'm going to survive. We're keeping our fingers crossed till November 1st.
Let's go.
All right, buddy.
See you, bro.
This is the Domonique Foxworth Show.